Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Since many of our priorities have already been mentioned, I'll focus on 2 points, one being a gap and one being a priority. Before beginning, I should point out that ATD Fourth World's positions are based off of a 2-year international participatory research project evaluating the MDGs, which included over 2,000 people living in poverty. The principle "Leave No One Behind" actually originated in this research, which found that anti-poverty programs too often exclude the poorest people in communities affected by poverty. This phenomenon is further illustrated in a wealth of research that highlights gaps in performance between the lowest quintile and the remainder of national populations across all countries. So, we highly support the proposal found throughout the post-2015 discussions stating that no target should be considered met unless met by all relevant social and income groups. The proposal is rooted in the high-level panel, has been echoed by civil society, reflected in the synthesis report of the Secretary General, and adopted by many member states. That being said, we worry about the arbitrariness or the lack of comparability in the identification of relevant social and income groups. For this reason, we encourage member states to consider a wording like "no target should be considered met unless met by the lowest quintile of the population." We expect that quintile disaggregation will be a key component of the data revolution and thus find this word more appropriate in implementation and review. Moving on to the gap, we find that the agenda has failed to adequately address the participation of people, particularly those living in most extreme poverty, in the articulation of the policies that affect them. To this end, there's still an opportunity to include participatory monitoring and accountability that reaches the most excluded populations as a vital component of the agenda's review mechanism. For ATD Fourth World, the strength of this agenda will be its capacity to reach those who have never been reached before and who weren't by the MDGs. Through proper disaggregation of data, attention to the most excluded, indicators that respect human rights, and participation, we think this agenda can, in fact, unleash the power of people who live in poverty.